Well, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm wearing glasses because, I think, I can read small characters just, below my eyes. So sometimes when I read the materials during my broadcasting, I have to wear my glasses. Well, today I want to talk about the impeachment issue going on in the Constitutional Court of South Korea. Many South Korean mass media, legacy mass media nowadays write on the need for President Yoon Suk-yeol to accept the result of the impeachment ruling, probably in 1 or 2 week time. But if the procedures and the argument for impeachment does not satisfy all the legitimate criteria of South Korean constitution, how could they accept unreasonable ruling without, amending or without investigating thoroughly all the defects of the procedures going on about impeachment at the Constitutional Court? So procedural flaws at the Constitutional Court pointed by many constitutional experts and scholars during 1 or 2 months time, including Professor Ho-young, expert on the Constitution law. He pointed out about 11 points, why this kind of impeachment trial does not bear all the validity or proper reasons cannot be found in this ruling process. So even some newspapers like 중앙일보 writing editorials by saying that you must vow to accept impeachment ruling. Well, ridiculous. Democracy is based on procedural legitimacy. Otherwise, just accepting the result, especially regarding all the trials, lacking all the legitimate procedures and does not meeting full requirement, on the trial by the law, it cannot justify saying that the ruling must be accepted by somebody else. Well, even today, the 중앙일보 wrote, like this: as the Constitutional Court impeachment trial of President Yoon Suk-yeol drags on, the divide between factions for and against impeachment has deepened, and compared to the trials of the two former presidents, 노무현 and 박근혜, the extended deliberation has heightened concern over the post-ruling landscape. And since Yoon's martial law declaration on December 3rd, 2024, and the subsequent impeachment motion, Korea has found itself in a state of near paralysis, with normal governance all but impossible. The editorial continues, writing like this. So the urgent need to respond to rapidly evolving international dynamics is being overshadowed by escalating partisan strife and national discord. With the court ruling imminent, fears persist that tensions may intensify rather than subside. Well, if constitutional ruling course followed all the legitimate procedures and modified all the defects and the flaws, which many scholars pointed out, then why this kind of argument is coming out? I don't understand. The editorial continues, writing like this: as Judgment Day approaches, the political establishment must restore composure and demonstrate its ability to reunite the nation. Well, if everybody has some knowledge on the South-South conflict nature of South Korean politics, all the anti-state forces, including espionage, personnel, also all the spy activities, which have been implemented by Chinese Communist Party, North Korean dictatorship, Labor Party. How could they understand, without rooting out all the anti-state activities and spies from our society, especially from the high-ranking establishment society? What kind of compromise does this kind of writings mean? All the rulings and procedures must be based on constitutional spirit, respecting and promoting constitutional spirit of liberal democracy and market economy since the establishment of Republic Korea in the year 1948. But South Korea's mass media, including broadcasting stations, are not analyzing this kind of a fact from a fair point of view, Why this kind of political instability happened, out of what kind of reasons? President Yoon Suk-yeol indicated all the time at the day of martial law declaration, and after that, some addresses by himself to the South Korean public that anti-state forces are paralyzing state functions, and even election fraud investigation is not to be carried out by the president due to all the anti-state forces, coalition to prevent from those, fraud being investigated. Even though the ruling is final and on the very reason that the ruling cannot be challenged, under Korea's legal system, if legal procedures, to define the impeachment ruling is not considered to be valid and democratic, who will accept the ruling, the final ruling? This is very important. Of course, it is common sense that it is the duty of political leaders to respect the justice's decision and work toward, nation and stability. It is common sense, but if we found, all the defects and flaws, and the ruling process in the constitutional court is considered to be quite undemocratic and unfair, probably many liberal South Korean citizens cannot accept the result. But if all the people in South Korea regard the ruling process and the final impeachment ruling to be valid and fair, then we could accept the final ruling. This is the problem, Anyway, as the ruling draws near, political parties are struggling to emphasize that their factions are really more democratic, and they are the very political factions who could give some credit to the people, but I don't think they are such an incredible political organization in South Korea, because they are the very ones who have caused this kind of political instability, and they are the very ones who have caused this kind of South Korean political paralysis. Well, this is an almost political revolution by the normal citizens, requiring political reforms and really the basic principles of constitution, that people are the real owner of the country, 국민주권주의, it must be restored as soon as possible by having all the fair impeachment ruling, which could be accepted by all the people in the Korean society. if they have gone through fair and democratic processes, to the final ruling, well, a firm public commitment to honor the Constitutional Court ruling could be acceptable without exception and without hesitation. But if those procedures and ruling process are regarded undemocratic and unfair, as many scholars have pointed out all the defects there, then who will accept the ruling as a final authority of Constitution? This is very important, I think. So I think South Korean Constitutional Court must be very careful and must be very fair, and also must meet the demands of general public's request to clarify what are the flaws and what are the reasons for and against impeachment. This is a very critical process for South Korean political stability and democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have spoken on the legality of constitutional ruling, and also many political factions are requesting to accept the impeachment ruling without any preconditions, but that is not right. We should have many preconditions to recognize the impeachment ruling, final ruling, to be accepted by the public. This is very important. Okay, I have spoken in English for those Korean Americans and those foreign dignitaries in the Korean diplomatic society, for understanding this kind of impeachment issues going on the South Korean political circle, because this is a very crucial moment for South Korean democratic development. Thank you.